Joining me now to discuss the man himself, post-millennial senior editor and New York Times bestselling author Andy Ngo, alongside his attorney, Dorothy Yamamoto. Dorothy, I'll ask you first, how in the heck did this just get thrown out? It's on video.
I know. Yeah, so the incident that was just shown was a June incident in 2019, and actually those defendants defaulted. So there wasn't actually a trial against them. They will be held accountable. But the May 2021 attack that you mentioned, we did have the defendants, so those were tried before the jury. And amazingly, the jury did find them not liable, despite a confession from the defendant, from one of the defendants, to the acts, and overwhelming evidence, in my opinion, that supported their involvement in the May 2021 attack. So it was a very disappointing verdict.
Well, Andy, the defense attorney really told jurors, said, I am Antifa. I mean, is this not some sort of bigger problem here? Do you have an appeal planned? Is there another court you can step up to?
Well, right now I'm still considering my legal options. It's only been a week since that devastating verdict. The whole trial was marred by security incidents that were happening inside the courtroom, inside the courthouse, and outside the courthouse. The judge informed the parties that the jurors were very scared throughout the trial, and actually on the final day of the trial, the judge sealed the jury roll to protect their identities because there was apparently an attempt to try to identify who these jurors were. And within that context, in the closing statements from one of the defense attorneys, she did make a defense for Antifa and said that she was going to be wearing a shirt that says, I am Antifa. And one of the last things she said is that I will be remembering all of your faces. So I do wonder if jury intimidation is at play here, given all the security incidents that happened.
But Andy, I'll stay with you here on this, but if we live in a world, like, you literally are uncovering fascism, okay? People who use force to implement their agenda, using intimidation, and you literally go into court saying that, and fascism was used to rule against you for being assaulted.
Well, I think in places like Portland and other big city jurisdictions, you have a population who has been brainwashed, in my opinion, with a lot of propaganda for years now about what Antifa is. I think that's part of the reason why I work so hard on this particular beat, because Antifa is not about anti-fascism. It's about violent extremism. It's about criminal organizing. And I tried my best to illuminate that in my reporting. And where relevant, I explained that in my testimony. And I can only wonder if jury intimidation caused the jury to give the verdict they ultimately did.
So, Dorothy, if you decide to take the next steps, what would it go to? Would it go to the Fifth Circuit Court or the Ninth Circuit Court out there? What's the next step?
So it would be the appellate court system. We could also try something within the superior court level, or the circuit court level. I'm sorry, they call the courts in Oregon trial courts, circuit courts. So we could try and get a new trial from the circuit court level, but most likely we probably would need to appeal it. And so it would still be a state law matter, and we would appeal it to a state court, but it would be appealed to a state court, if not the Supreme Court. It kind of depends on what direction we want to go.
Yeah, Andy, I got about a minute left, but when you're reporting on these things, do we have any integrity in journalism? Because if it was, the roles were flipped, if this was a MAGA rally and some, a left-wing reporter took the same abuse that you did, it'd be front-page news.
Yeah, and that certainly has happened locally in Portland when there have been establishment journalists or left-wing independent journalists who have been assaulted in the course of their reporting on right-wing political groups. They are portrayed sympathetically, and the prosecutor's office will go hard after those criminal suspects, some of whom have been convicted. In my case, nobody was ever convicted for any of these number of attacks spanning back since 2019.
Wow. Well, I tell you, Andy, if you're ever up in a tight spot, you call me and my buddies. We've done some protection details in the past in some not so nice countries. We're pretty good at it. We're always got your back, buddy. Andy, Dorothy, we appreciate it.